This quick video to just explain why you'd want to use Cursor and also show you how to use it and set it up, just for initial sort of quick look. So you can use Cursor for free. And one of the sort of things that people sort of think about the free version, because it uses the API keys, is that it's going to be expensive, but it doesn't cost much at all. API prices are very low these days. For example, if you look at OpenAI, GPT-4, it used to cost $60, and GPT-4 Mini now is 15 cents. So that's per million tokens. So it costs absolutely nothing, really. The model I use most of the time is Sonnet, but I've never sent her in a million tokens. So honestly, the bill that I got last month was about $3 or $4. I used it a lot, so I'm surprised how cheap it is. I now use the Pro, but that's just because Work's paid for it. If I had to pay for it out of my own pocket, I'll just carry on just using the free, not the free APIs, but the API key, which I pay for just on the spot after every month. So you just create those API keys with Anthropic, with Google, and with OpenAI, just as you normally would. So a few things about this. It's just saying why Cursor is free, because they've got to pay for the calls to the LLM, and also some sort of development and sort of building out the Cursor development process. And so Cursor is just a fork from VS Code. You'll see in a minute if you use the VS Code, I'll show you what it looks like. So it's just saying why are some fast and slow. It just means that once you've hit a limit, I'm guessing this is just because of the cost for them from their point of view. They'll just start throttling you and giving you the lower speeds, so you don't get charged too much, or they don't get charged too much. I imagine there's sort of two tiers where they can sort of one for fast calls and one for slow calls, and the slower ones are going to be cheaper for them. So most of them work with just the API key. There's a few that don't, so that's tab. So that's when you just inline editing. So it explains what tab is down here. I'll also show it when you're doing the demo in a second. I found it quite complicated to understand what's free, what's not, what's part of this, and how everything works. So hopefully by the end of this video, you'll get an understanding. Cursor Small is used with Cursor Tab, and it's also available in the chat window as well, which I'll show you. Is there anything else interesting in here? It's just saying how many free calls you get. So what I'm going to do is just minimize the FastHTML view up here. This is just a sort of development environment. So this is running in WSL on Ubuntu. So this is connecting to a Ubuntu virtual machine essentially. So it just means that you can run your development on Linux, but you're just using Windows for your everyday sort of practical stuff, which generally is best because Linux is better for development work, and I feel that Windows is just better for every day because things just work on it. So this is pretty much the same as Visual Studio Code. You've got left hand side, you've got all your projects, you've got your all your plugins that you can have. So they'll all work from Visual Studio Code, exactly the same, and all your plugins here that you can usually connect to. On the right hand side, this is a bit different. So what you've got is a chat window, and you can choose your model, so which model you want to talk to, and then you can write in any sort of prompt you want. So I'm just going to take you up to the settings. So it goes settings and then cursor settings. These are very specific to cursor. So we go to general. We've got import from VS Code, so we can import everything from VS Code. And you also got this rules for AI. So this is just a prompt essentially that runs every time you run a chat window or an inline chat. But you also can add specific rules for a particular project as well. The example I've given here is if you're Portuguese or you speak Portuguese, you can just go to return in Portuguese, so you don't have to get back in English or whatever language. Or if you also want to, if the program is Python, you could write a particular style of Python, you could put that in there as well. None of that's super important. This one's quite important. So these are all the models you can use. This is what I think makes it special because it's agnostic. You can just use whatever is the best model out there. Like I say, it is a competition. There's I think the best model out there at the moment is this one, Sonnet, Sonnet 3.5. But next week it could be GTP5 or it could be Google's new model. There's just so many models out there at the moment. So what you do is you go onto OpenAI, get the OpenAI key, paste it in there. Same for Anthropic. Go into Anthropic website, get the key, paste it in there, and go into Google, paste your Google key in. You just grab those from those sites and you put your credit card in, and you'll be charged from OpenAI or Anthropic or Google, depending on which chatbot you select here, or the various other places you can do it. Features, let's go to the top. So cursor tab, this is your inline editing, so this is where you're typing in within the code editor, and it'll suggest various different things. So the model, default, so I'm guessing they're going to change that in the future. Partial accept, so let's enable that. Accept the word of the suggestion. Cursor predict, so it's going to move your cursor to the next accepting cursor tab, suggestions. Just getting that bit of extra compared to, say, Copilot. It's streaming in chunks, so it's not going to suggest the whole line, it's just going to suggest as it gets information or as it gets the tokens in back. And it's just going to cache the first edit and suggest it faster. So this is quite interesting. It indexes your project, whatever is in the code base, so it's going to index all of that. And then it's going to perform RAG when you do a query, so it's going to select just the relevant bits within your project and send that to the LLM depending on what you've queried. This sort of text box up here, so it doesn't have to send everything to it, so it's not wasting tokens or wasting your credits. Okay, so there's a few options there. The docs, this is super useful. We're going to show you how to use this. So in the docs, you can add documentation for websites. So if you click add, type in a website, and it'll go to that website, crawl it, index it, and then it'll perform RAG. So when you query it, it'll only select the relevant part of those docs, and then send that to the LLM. So again, saving money, but also just makes it a lot quicker process. You don't have to read everything. You can just type in the LLM and just get the result you want. So if the LLM either doesn't have the most up-to-date information on the docs, then it'll fetch that from the docs, and also ground the information for the LLM as well, because you're saying only get information that's valid from the indexed. Okay, we're going to ignore all these, but it can have a look at those for your own time. And the beta, there's some interesting stuff in the beta. So for Composer, this is going to be quite interesting. So this is a bit like you can keep querying as you go, and it'll build the project as you go along. It's probably better through demonstration. I'll show you that. Interface mode, probably ignore that one for the moment. Long context just means it's going to use a chatbot that's just got a very long context. So rather than doing the RAG side of things, you're just going to chuck everything in the memory for the LM, and it's just going to spit back the answer. Obviously, this is going to cost a bit more money, but it's probably going to be the way things are going to going to use that more in the future, but just because it's getting cheaper to do that. Reviews I've not actually used yet, but if someone knows how to do that or seems to get good examples, yeah, just shout out. So that's all the settings. So the shortcut keys, let's open this FastPy, main.py. If we close that, and delete, and we'll just start from scratch, and we'll just say Control I, which is compose. You can see it's got this little window up here. You can just type in your instructions. So to create a new one, press plus, and it's added this main.py. So we can update this main.py, or we can use it for sending to the LLM. You can just say what you want. So the other window you've got is an inline, so Control K, and then you can just type in what you want for this particular window. If you had a piece of code, you could highlight the code, and then you could write instructions what you want now, reformat, refactor, change this function, whatever your query is. The other option is Control L, which just takes you over to this menu here. And you can see it's added this main.py because we've got the focus on main.py. So now I'm going to go on to some more practical sort of projects. You've got an idea of the sort of environment. Got the instructions here for FastHTML. Want is, here we go. We've got the docs. So this is a new library out, FastHTML, so it won't be in any of the LLMs. So it's a good example to show how you can sort of grab all the information from this website and use it to over to the LLM using Cursor. You can see it's got the instructions, so in the end of the LLMs, they won't know what this line will do. It just doesn't exist in the LLMs currently, as far as I know anyway. And it gives you some instructions here. You've also got these FastHTML by example. And you've got all the instructions down here. This is going to be valuable to pass to the LLM. So how do we do that? I'm going to use Claude Sonnet for the LLM call. And then I'm going to use the @ sign. Due to the slides, it's going to slow down. There we go. And then I'm going to use docs. These are the docs that I've used in the past. I'm just going to click this plus sign. I go over to the website. I'm going to use the home page. No, I'm not. I'm going to use the home page for the docs. There's that one there. There's that. There's that in there. That's HTTP. That's cool. Confirm. So that's just going to go down and index it. So I'm just going to pause the video while that works. It takes a few minutes, a few seconds. Okay, so we've done its indexing now. So you can see here it's using the docs from HTTP docs that we just added. So that's the index one. And then we're going to just say create a website. Then we're going to just paste in this link here. So this is a current events from Wiki. It's going to be a very simple website. So it's essentially just doing a bit of a scraping. Probably not the best example, but it gives you an idea of power. And then we want it in fast HTML. And the details of fast HTML. is docs. So I'm going to show you what the website looks like. Very basic, just a list. So if we press enter that, it's going to send this call to the LLM. It's going to do a bit of crawling. You can see what it's doing here. Going through the docs. I think if you click these, it tells you. You can see it's done a crawl of the website and it's picked out some information. Okay, so we're going to copy that. And it's actually told you what it's doing here and what you need to do to get it to work. So if we save that, and then we just type in Python main.py. It's going to start up this FastHTML page. Cool, and hopefully this is going to work. Here we go. Very basic, like I said, but it's got a website up and working. So a few years ago, that would have been amazing. So what I'm going to do is close that down. I'm going to close that off. And that's that one demoed. Okay, so we've got the app created. We've cancelled it. And the next thing I'm going to do is use the compose. So what I'm going to do for the compose is I'm going to just create a readme for what we've just done. So if we do Control I, okay, got to be in the focus. Control I, and it brings up here. I think what I had to do last time for this was I had to create another file and just call this one readme.md, and I'm going to add main .py on there. Done. And then just say create a readme.md based file. Okay, so you can see it's updating the document as we've done. So that seems okay to me. Just basic, just showing you how to use the software. So accept all, and that's done. We can close that. We've got a website up and working, and we've got a README created as well. So it's going to be another quick example. So for this time, we're going to be using Composer again as a feature that will automatically create a program or auto program. But we're going to create it in Pygame. The reason for this is just that it's going to be a bit more complicated. And FastHTML, because of that VLM, might find it a bit complicated. But we've got quite a big game here. And what we can do is we can Control I, this will bring Composer up. This is all the requirements in this file. So what we can tell Composer to do is read composer.md, so that's the file with all these requirements for this simple quiz game. We can say follow instructions for composer.md. Enter. It's going to go across and it's going to create a file called quiz.py. here, and it's going to populate it. It'll just take a few seconds. So everything's green because everything's new line. And it tells you what it's going to do here. So I'm not going to look at all the code because I don't know from a quick glance what it is, but let's just see whether it works. So I'm going to type in Python quiz.py. There we go. Okay, so what's the capital of France? I'm going to type in C. Right, okay, it's got an error. I'm not sure whether it can read the terminal, so I'm going to getting. Alright, in. Done some corrections. No idea whether it's right, but I'm going to accept it and then just rerun the game. Spacebar, so C, correct. Okay, that's good. Red planet is going to be B, correct. World's largest animal is going to be a C, whale, space, correct. 3 out of 3, done. So what else can we do at task? We can say want to use to click it answers instead of typing. Nope. It's going to go away. It's going to just query the LLM. The LLM is going to spit back the code and then it's going to create a change. So the green items are going to be new lines and the red items are going to be lines that is removed. So let's see what this does. This light grey. Got some new ones, some rectangles. Got on some buttons rather than having the key presses. Removed an event, but added a different type of event. Okay, so I'm not going to have a detailed look. I'm just going to run that. Now we've got this big button, start quiz. What's capital of France, Paris. So it's come up with an error. So let's just copy that error. Getting the following error. Paste it in there. I'm going to go down the same. Green's new lines, red the errors. Okay, so there's a couple of things that it's done there. Like that. Let's run it again. Start quiz. What's capital of France? Paris. What's capital of red? Okay. Largest mammal in the world. Blue whale. Correct. Next. Sorted. So that's it. That's a quick demo of the software and how you can use it. Obviously, you can keep on going. You can have multiple files in there, and it'll update them all. You can see what changes it's done. So obviously, if you're doing something a bit more important, you would sort of have a look to make sure it's doing the right thing. You can have reference files in there to tell it to reference against certain files. So you've got a certain style of coding. This is so powerful, and this is only in beta at the moment. But I think this is going to be the future of programming, especially as the LLMs get better.